Okay, hi. This is part 3 of World War 3, part 3. And I took the time out to put a video in on Lilith in the Israel horoscope, which I call Jewish Girl. So the sequence of these videos that I'm doing on January the 19th, the year of 2024, is World War 3 Part 1, World War 3 Part 2, Jewish Girl, Israel, and then now the fourth video called World War 3 Part 3, if I remember to mention it that way. Now, here we have a chart of the present time, just calculated for noon. So that's when I, began this project. And now it's 1:30, but I'm going to stick with this chart because this when I began this project of, World War III. And also because it looks like a good chart. You see, and I was talking, probably more about horary and other things you don't really want to know about. But when a chart, I have personally 4 degrees of Virgo rising, 456, 451, something like that. I also have Mars at 558 of Gemini. So, and I have a couple of things at 19, which it makes it like a 15 degree angle, 45 degree angle. So anyhow, it comes up in my life, and I do charts on myself every day. And people rightly said I spend so much time doing horoscopes that I have no life. Well, the horoscopes are my life. I think of a funny thing and I do a horoscope on it. See? So mainly my life is a fantasy, right? But it has a structure, as you could, even the fantasy life, or a person that sits in a chair his whole life and doesn't go out and catch footballs or get elected to Congress, or have a job, nevertheless, somebody that Walter Mitty type that sits at home and either by choice or design, or choice or fate, whatever makes the person sit home. I mean, I've known people that were crippled that couldn't get out much, so they sat home, whether they wanted to or not. But they have a life. And well, similarly, I spent a lot of time. I don't want to exaggerate. I occasionally shut my computer off and to rest my eyes or to recharge the battery. But I do a lot of horaries, and most of them are very silly. Nevertheless, I find that when I have a horary that is somewhat on point or somewhat relevant to my life, a lot of times the 4 or 5 degrees of some sign or other will show up on the ascendant, or the moon might be in 4 or 5, or something like that. So that's when you're doing a horary chart, and then you have a pretty good correlation with your own chart. Then you're onto something. Now here you see this little pointer. Notice that the moon is in 18 of Taurus and Uranus is in 19. So, and the midheaven is in 19. That happens to be a trine. But but the fact that the moon is very close to Uranus, probably at the time when we're speaking, it's probably already passed over Uranus. But the moon is trine to Uranus, conjunct Uranus. Uranus is trine to the midheaven. which happens to be the Mars Pluto midpoint, or the Mars Sun midpoint as far as that goes. Now trine, now here's where you're going to get into a lot of fights with, Uranian astrologers are going to say, well, trines don't work. Only squares work, and conjunctions and oppositions, and 45-degree angle, which is they like the second, fourth, and eighth harmonics, 16th harmonic. They don't believe in trines as the third harmonic. Well, yeah, trines work, by the way. No matter what the Uranian astrologers say, trines work. Well, that's the third harmonic. And conjunctions work. That's the first harmonic. You get it? When you multiply any number, divide the circle by any number, you're going to get trines or squares or whatever. So anyway, here's the moon conjunct Uranus. What does that mean, by the way? Now, by the way, on my natal chart, I have the moon in 24 of Pisces, Uranus in 23 of Gemini, and I have another planet in 24, Mercury of Cancer. But how do I know this is a good chart? I'm just not talking through my hat, right? Well, for me, the moon square Uranus that's my natal chart, which makes me tend to say off-color things and irritate women. Hence, I spend most of my life alone. See, but Uranus square the moon would mean that you're going to say, and then that moon is also trine Mercury. See, so Uranus is going to do more with my speech than anything else. But I will say things, Mercury moon trine. I say things that turn out to be very pleasant, right? It's a trine. But then a square from Uranus means I will say something off color, or something inappropriate, or something challenging. That might make me a good teacher, by the way. It might make me very entertaining. Because, that's somewhere in there is humor. And I'm funny. Well, it depends who you ask. But there's the Uranus. So the fact that Uranus conjunct the moon here in this chart is right there means, oh, well, this might have something to do with Bill Kennick. In particular. Now, what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to predict World War III, right? Which is where I started, with the Sun and Pluto conjunct and moving, moving within a day or two into Aquarius. Pluto and Aquarius going to start a new, well, if you're a Bible scholar, some people say a new dispensation. Okay? That's kind of grandiose, a new dispensation. But, Bible scholars tend to be grandiose like that, I mean, the end of the world is always like tomorrow for Bible scholars. I mean, I personally would argue that if you ever had an end of the world, it was at the time of Hitler. Okay? Things were much worse then than they are now. And so, people who predicted the end of the world in 1914 were, pretty right. They were pretty on. And personally, I think, and again, it's based on, 74 years of general education and no particular specialty or no particular intelligence, but just being around long enough, I figured, well, there isn't much point in predicting the end of the world now, because if you're right, you won't be around to accept the credit for it. See, so I've started predicting World War III now instead of the end of the world. But there isn't much percentage as a practical matter of predicting the end of the world. However, people enjoy doing it, and people with 29 degrees in their chart, they like to do that. See, and Donald Trump, he has 29 of Leo, which is about, that's the fixed star Regulus is there, which is about as egotistic a degree meaning as you can have. It's 29 of Leo, 28, 29 of Leo. He's 29 ascendant, I think it is, 29, 59. So, he's one cunt hair away from being a Virgo. But he's not. He's on the Leo side, and that makes him like a super Leo, by the way, disclaimer, I voted for him twice, and I will not vote for him a third time. I don't care who runs against him. I won't vote for him a third time. But I did vote for him twice, but anyway, what I'm going to describe here with him in 29 of Leo, he's a ego. You can't get more egotistic than that, And I had a very good friend, Louise Yant, who was in the astrology business with me, 25, 30 years ago. She was in the beauty business with me, she typed my master's thesis for me, But anyway, so she was a good friend. She had 28 Leo rising. So, we come by this very, very naturally. I've noticed people who have 28 or 29 degrees of Leo, and they have a great deal of self-confidence. And Trump is one of them. Yeah. Anyway, coming back to reality here. Here's a 29. Now, by the way, see, that would be an interesting point. What Pluto is in 29 of Capricorn. His ascendant is in 29 of Leo. That's 150 degrees. That's what they call a minor aspect, because Leo to Aquarius would be 180 degrees. That would be a major aspect, an opposition. But this is 150. Nevertheless, 150 degrees, which they call an inconjunct. And then if you have 250 degrees, pointing towards some point, this way, they call that the finger of God. And I've heard some astrologers just call a mere 150 degree aspect the finger of God, although I'm more used to the two of them. Let's see, a finger of God. So what do we got here? Let's say, well, we don't even have Trump pictured here, but here, let's take this part of fortune, 24 of Leo, let's take it to the 29. Now that's admittedly a wide orb, but Capricorn to Leo, if they were both 24 or if they were both 29, would be a finger of God, or a 150 degree angle, which they call an inconjunct. There's another name for it too, which I'll think of in a minute. Now, I don't know if you ever had how much you know about astrology, but it is possible to rotate that 150 degree angle so that one of the planets is sitting on the ascendant, and then the other one would be on the 6th house cusp. You see how that works? That's 150 degrees. So symbolically, if one interprets anything, any aspect, you can rotate one thing to the other, and a square, for example, would take on the aspect, would take on the nature of either a 10th house, or if you rotated the other one, or a 4th house. So let's, as an example, let's take here's Jupiter on the ascendant, and Mercury is in 6. So Capricorn to Taurus, okay, that's a trine, right? But the Mercury takes on a ninth house aspect. You see, it's actually in the ninth house, see? Now, if we rotated Mercury to the ascendant, then the Jupiter would scoot all the way down here to the fifth house trine, which would be here. So as seen from the point of view of Mercury, of one's thinking, right now one's thinking, it takes on the nature of Jupiter, which is the fifth house, very happy, funny, and creative. Well, funny, jolly, Jupiter, Jovian, see? From the point of view of expecting a handout, in other words, you want to get money, you want somebody to give you money, then it's going to take on a ninth house. You're going to ask a distant cousin for money, and they're going to ask a lot of questions. That's the Mercury, see? But the thinking, on the other hand, from the point of view of the thinking, it's kind of better because you have your Jupiter in your fifth house. The thinking will be very happy and generous. Okay? No. So maybe if you have, here's a free astrological counseling. This may be a good day to ask a distant relation for money. The distant relation being the ninth house Mercury, the money being the Jupiter, it comes to you. And the way to get that is to humor them, tell them a good joke. In other words, here they are thinking about you, and you said something funny, or something philosophical, or something expansive. Those are Jupiter kind of words, right? So that's how you do a reading. Now, you going to get the money or not? Look at, suddenly, oh my goodness, here's a Saturn in between 60 degrees and 60 degrees, and here you are asking for money, but guess what interferes with that? Saturn comes in the middle of it. So Mercury, Jupiter means what? Big thinking, right? Big talk. It could also mean big talk. Let's look in the book here. Mercury plus Jupiter. Cheerful mood, liking to speak, fluent speech, talent for speech. In other words, this is what these videos are, is big bullshit talk, right? Okay, but here is Saturn and Isis in the middle of it. So what is Saturn? And they're using the idea of separation, bon voyage, to take leave gladly. Here's your hat. What's your hurry? Saturn. Take my word for it, okay? Saturn, bon voyage, to take leave gladly. It's like they say, listen, I'll give you the money if you disappear forever. Don't ever ask me again. Take the money, good riddance. That's Saturn, let us stop. I'll give you the money, but I don't want to hear from you again. Get lost, Saturn. And then if we would read Isis in that, Virgo across from Pisces, because Isis would also be make an aspect. Isis to let's see, Virgo to Capricorn. That's a trine. Oh, it's a grand trine. So if we could figure out what Isis means, let's see, Mercury plus Jupiter. What word can Isis collects things, right? You see, they only have the standard planets plus the Uranian planets here. What planet would resemble Isis? Right now, I can't tell you. I don't know. I know this. The planet Hades has a meaning which in a way resembles Wallameth. See, so if you want to look up an interpretation for Lilith, by the way, internet, they like Lilith. Those ladies on the internet like Lilith. So, in one of its manifestations, they might be talking about the Black Moon Lilith, but the readings are good enough for Wallameth. and also the asteroid Lilith. So Lilith is a party favorite right now. So you see a lot of good stuff on the internet about Lilith, most of which is probably true. Yeah. So okay, World War III, right? I'm waiting for the big boom to come, and then we can all go home. We don't have to publish this silly video. Okay. However, okay, Mars, Pluto. Okay, excuse me, personal. And I'm not going to edit this thing and take that by blowing my nose off. So if you're grossed out, well, that's too bad. One thing I'll say, I mean, it looks like Trump might have something to do with this. Now, Trump is Donald, the great former president of the United States, Donald Trump, right? Giving credit where credit is due. He's at 29. He's not president, so I'm not sure exactly how he would start World War III, but stranger things have happened. All right, well, here's something. We'll say that this World War III will have something to do with Trump. Although the go-to guy right now is Biden, right? And you go to him and he does nothing, right? Or so it would appear. But nevertheless, he is the president, and he has an intelligence staff working for him. And I mean, they could all be crazy and they could all be wrong. Which is, well, in politics of this nature, probably everybody is mostly wrong, right? They can't all be right, but they all think they're right. And they are all, pretty much they're all intelligent. I mean, you don't get to be the head of the Houthis or the head of the United States by being stupid. They're smart. It's just they're wrong. Well, why are they wrong? Well, they're thinking with their stomach and not with their brain, or they don't have the access to the facts, or maybe there is no right and wrong. I mean, in some things it's like a game of Monopoly. Maybe it's not. Oh, I was actually confusing morally wrong with being accurate and factual. There seem like there are two different meanings of wrong there, which I'm mixing up. So I'll have to think about that one. I don't know. I recently, in the last few years, see, I'm in the Linux world, and in the Linux world, which the rest of you call Linux, which is an operating system, that competes with Microsoft, for example, or Apple. But in Linux, they have a notion of there's free as in beer. And I recently asked about 5 people, educated, intelligent people at the library, the Alliance Library there, what free as in beer. They said, what? They didn't know what free as in beer meant. Well, I will explain that real quick. Then there's free as in freedom. See? Now in Linux they have both. See, free as in beer means you can download this software for free, not paying, no charge. See, no charge. But free as in freedom means you have a right to publish it or change it or adopt it as your own and put your own name on it. It's free as in freedom to publish. So they make a distinction between free as in beer and free as in freedom. The little Linux people are good at that. So when I said wrong, what was the word I was using? Wrong. Wrong is it accurate or wrong is it morally? Now it escapes me. I'm sorry. Someday I may know, and I'll let you know if I figure it out. Here we have. Okay, but anyway, the point being that Trump at 29 of Leo may have something to do with this World War III. Now, any Democrat would say that, right? That's not particularly insightful. That's just prejudice. Yeah, all right. Okay, I think I'll stop this video. I'll come back. I'll come back later.